So let's check sound. Can you hear me? Just write in chat, maybe on YouTube, on the Telegram, that you can hear me. I know that there is a delay, so if you will ask some questions, I will respond with this delay. Okay, I see. Yeah, fine, good. So as you can see, it takes about 10 seconds to hear you. So let's start then. I will capture the stream later, and so you can see that. It's louder. Let me check. If it's okay now, I hope. If it's not, let me know if something is wrong with the microphone, because I can fix that, but I don't know how it sounds again. So if you give me some feedback about it. Yeah, I did it louder. I hope it helps now. So good. Welcome everyone. So if you don't know me, my name is Anton. I'm the CEO of Indie Game Dev Club. As well, I'm the student of Innopolis University. So you should know that I'm not just the CEO of some company who want to promote you some internship program, but I'm also the same student as you. I'm on first year bachelor student. Today I want to share with you what we are going to do during our summer internships, to tell you about some rules and some of the ideas that we have behind this internship. So let's see our agenda for today. In general, I want to say who we are, because not everyone knows that maybe, and so I think it could be really useful for the people who don't know who we are. We will talk about internships opportunities in our company. It's really huge. I mean, we are companies that are really flexible to this thing, and so we will just cover it maybe a bit from the a bit like a highlight. And so if you have some questions, you can ask it any time in the chat. So don't hesitate to ask it in YouTube or in Telegram. It doesn't matter. I can check both of them. So and on the last step, we will talk a bit about what the few the next step could be after internships, what are the selection process to the internship. Spoiler, it's not hard really. It's just okay. Let's talk about this later. So when the internship starts and how we can work together in future cooperation. Firstly, let's talk about the company shortly. Indie Game Dev Club LLC, or in Russia it's OO company. Registered in November 2018, but officially operating we started only in January. It's important to mention that firstly, Indie Game Dev Club, it's a student club who was established in 2017, and after that moment, we just developed it like a community. And in previous year, in November, we started to register like a company. It doesn't mean that club doesn't exist now. The club and the company existing in the same time with in parallel way. It's important to mention also that special economic zone in Annapolis has different statuses for the companies that are placed here. One of them is company resident, and resident company has some bonuses and obligations at the same time in respect to Annapolis administration. There is also adjusted companies that, for example, rent some places in Techno Park, but they don't have any obligations and bonuses at the same time. Our company, as it's a new student-based company, we have a new status startup that wasn't previously. I mean, it's the status appears only in this year, and that's the status that we received after we established our company. What does actually mean? It means that we have some bonuses from special economic zone. For example, really cheap rent for the work offices. We also have some opportunities related to taxes, and we as a companies that you can use for future work here. I mean, it means that our company would be counted as your obligatory work after education in Annapolis. So we are in really good position in this way, but it also means that we are small companies that only develop right now. Our current operation is hyper casual games. We choose that because hyper casual games are really easy to produce, and at the same time, They have a small time development. It's again for us it was a really good opportunity to establish our processes. And it's important to mention for now that we have only two projects in portfolio due to the 2 months operations. Both of the games takes about 1 month to produce, but on the first game we did it counted as like a commercial project mostly because I mean we targeted on the on the commercial project, but the problem was that this project not successful from the beginning, and our idea was just to establish inside processes like how to develop how to develop games in our situation, what other what in general, we want to get some experience during this month for the first development of our game. But the second project that we released, like really today, today we reviewed it, Google Play was reviewed, and we started to market it. And so let's see how it happens. But we put a lot on this project because it's really good. About team, we have more than 10 people. It's really hard to say how much do we have because this number is flexible. Some of the people even work on the project that we help them to develop, but they don't have a salary, for example. So they're not officially employee, but they do the project for the future development of the company. And again, this situation happens because we have a status of startup. Our main strategy in this case, as you understand from our first project, is self-development expertise. We not only develop these games, we also self-publish it. For now, for the second project, we decided to work a bit with the publisher to get new experience, but in general, we are focusing on the to have an expertise not only in development of the game, but the publishing, in an event organization, and other stuff. So we're trying to cover as much things as possible because we think that it really helps the company grow. And in general, our mission is the same as it was for the student clubs that we had. It's continuously development of game dev community. We want to make game development in Russian and the world better in general and make it more attractive for the people who are not in here right now. So our goals for internships is here on this slide. First of all, we want to show game dev to you. Our interest is here to show that game dev is a really interesting field, but at the same time it's hard. So we want to show you how to hard to work in this field, but interesting at the same time. Uh, Maybe it will help you to understand do you need it or not actually. So if you are still thinking to work in game development field or not, you can try our internship to just understand and to cover something, and you maybe will know a bit more about that. And actually, you can also, after internship, we hope that you will see how you can grow in this field. What can you learn new? What are the fields you can cover to, for example, find a job in this field? It's not only related to our company, but in general to the game development. And also, I'm sure that you already have some skills right now, programming or management, or maybe even some game development related, like a game design. And so it will help you to understand how to apply your skills to the jobs that we have in game development. Second thing, we want to raise your expertise. If you already know something, so it's opportunity to know to try in new positions for you. For example, if you are a programmer but you always think that game design is an interesting thing and you didn't have a chance to try it, so this is a good point to try. And so also another thing, maybe if you are a programmer and you make programs like I don't know, maybe calculators or something like that on the labs. Here is opportunity to research something that you didn't know before. Either it's be some game engine, or you, for example, research how to build a continuous integration, continuous development network. We also want to teach you how we work in team. So we trying to build all of our processes around the people. So for us, it's really important how we have what's the communication inside our teams. We put a lot on that, and that's why we also want to show you how to develop a pipeline inside your project. For some of you, maybe it could be an opportunity to become a manager, to try your skills, as well with our help to understand how it would be. And of course, the last thing, what is it's the thing for what we actually like game development. It's self-realization. I mean, it doesn't mean it means that you can create something that you have never did before, and so in this case, for example, you can develop your own project. We are open for suggestions, uh, and we are think that one of the parts of the experience that you can get is make decision by yourself. So if you, for example, have some ideas, we are really happy to hear that and to work about it. It's important to say what we are interested in. So, internship is the process that requires some resources, and of course, it's important that to say that we also have some something that we would get from that. Uh, for example, and the actually first point that I want to mention, we don't need money from you. By that I mean that if you have some idea and you think that it bring you money, it doesn't mean that we want to have a share from that because you are work on us or something like that. If you want to develop your 1 million idea, we will help with that. The only important point that I want to mention here, so we are the company and we are startups who trying to survive on the market, and we want to put we want to develop a community, and we put a lot of resources on this internship, and if at some moment we help you with your project and you make a decision by yourself how you want to develop that, you asking help, for example, and if it requires really a lot of resources that we can afford right now because we have our own commercial projects that we want to complete because we just want to survive on the market. Maybe in this case we can deal with about some sharing or something like that. But this is a question about what we can give to you and what can you give for us. But this is just for the case if you are really sure that you want to earn money with your own idea. Most of the internship is not about that, but maybe it happens. So the second thing that we are interested in, of course, it's your growth. So first point is was about what we are not interested in. The second is about what we're interested in really. As I said before, game development community is our main goal. So in this case, we want to see how you grow, how you see a feedback from completed project, and it's always a cool thing to say. For example, I developed a game and I have it in my portfolio, and it doesn't matter if you're a game developer or not. Actually, it's just a cool thing. Uh, and new knowledge and potential projects is just what we want to bring to you. About the research projects, what our interest in this case, if you are research something that we didn't know before, for us it's opportunity to know something new with your help. So we want to grow a startup. So for some researchers that not develop a game to earn money, like for example how to build a CI/CD network, as I mentioned before, this is a potential for us. It's the potential to growth, it's potential for future investment and for future help. So this is here is our interest in research. We're also interested in find new people. So we small now. Even 10 people is actually not small for the company. It's kind of the medium game development company. For indie developers, it's not small team, but we still have a lack of expertise. Not only in some specific fields, but we also have problems that the same people usually cover different position. For example, our game designer have to work like an analytic or marketer. So in this case, we are interested to find the people to grow them like a specialist in some specific field and to have them for the future work. So this is an opportunity for you to maybe find a job for the future. We also have some rules about internships. This is kind of the requirements and restrictions that we have in this case. First of all, and one of the main thing, it's win-win condition. We do something, your project, our project, or something else, only if everyone is satisfied. It means that if, for example, let's imagine you have the idea of the project, you come to us and say, I want to develop this one. And you have a good plan, you have everything right, and you need a team. We can't force other people to work with you only because you want that. We want that everyone from our internships will be satisfied about that. Another point, for example, if you understand that your project is too perspective and it's too huge, it's too big for these internships, and we see that you will not learn something from that, you only will have some bad experience, maybe we will be on the opposite side of this question. We will do not work on this project just because we will don't see the potential for you in this case, not because it's not potential for us, but we just want to help in this case. The second rule, we advise, but your choice is your responsibility. It means that we work like a mentor, but as I said before, experience is a self-decision. So when you decide something, you can hear what we say told to you, or you can decide by yourselves and to take some other decision. But in this case, if we advise you, it's our responsibility, and if you choose by yourself, it's your responsibility. It doesn't mean that we have to punish you to something. We don't have a projects or I mean, we don't want to give you a project that really places our in risky situation, but we want to give it, we want to take it seriously. And so, if you decided to do something and you did it wrong, it doesn't mean that you will be punished just because this is an experience that you had, and maybe in future you will do it in another way, and maybe it's this mistake is also an opportunity for you to make it better right now. It's also and it's important. Maybe you will be right. For example, you decided something, you make a decision, and it was wrong. That's a really good thing. It's also experience for us because we just a new company that trying to develop the future. So about your projects, it's possible, but there is two conditions that you should think of. First of all, you have to show potential of your project, what it will be about, why do you want to do that, what is your plan, do you want to make it commercial or not, what is your development plan in case of terms, in case of times, in case of team. Because if you apply with your idea, usually idea is the idea of one person, not a whole team. So in this case, you will have to find out how to build a team around you. But again, if it's really interesting thing, for example, a project that is really close to our experience, like a hyper casual, and we see that it could be interested, yeah, it's much easier to force the people to work with that because we know how to work with it from our side. So when you come with your project, try to figure it out what is your team in this case, potentially from the people who also apply in these internships. Uh, we also want to share with you our view of management. We're trying to work with team-based management when inside the team there is a manager who trying to figure out how to work, how to drive team in the right way. So management is based inside the team for this internship. It means that some of the person would be a manager. Not only he could be also not only be a manager, but also, for example, game designer or programmer, something like that. But we also help you from company side as a high level managers. But this is a side of the question. Sorry. So the idea is that we trying to build the people who are self management. But we know that it's not possible without high level experience. So that's what we provide you. We provide you the idea how you can manage that, but you should decide how you will apply that. And the last thing is just pretty simple. Be kind and open. We value honesty because if you don't like something, we want to know that and we want to fix that actually. And remember that you work with people. Game development is a huge field that requires a lot of different people, not only the programmers, not only the game designers, but artists, managers, marketologists, analytics, and other stuff. And it's not possible to build a commercial game without all of these people, and it's not possible to do alone. It's really hard thing. So let's talk about pipelines that we have in our company. First of all, we work with some kind of adapted Scrum. So in general, agile thing. So we have daily meetings, planning, and in our case, we have week-based sprints. We also suggest this type of management to you, but it really depends on the project. For example, in case of our hyper casual games, we work at like week-based sprints because development cycle is really short, and we just spend about 1 month for sprints for hyper casual games. So usually, by our pipeline methodology, we have a delivery on each sprint. It means that we have some build at the end of that or some other results. But there is a bit difference. It's important to mention that our pipeline have three stages. It's pre-production, production, and post-production. An example of hyper-casual games on pre-production states, we develop different prototypes, write the documentation for the future stage like production. We trying to understand the idea of the game and to test it. On the production stage, we just produce some arts, some codes and logics that we already sure how to do. And the last stage, post-production, it's what we did when we already finished our programming of our game, and we just want to launch it on the market to attract people to play our game, to start marketing campaign or sell it to the publisher. So game dev actually has a specific pipeline development. In this case, it's not possible to just apply Scrum or Kanban or something like that because we're always limited by the time as in any project, but at the same time it's the process of creativity. So we have to figure out how to solve a lot of problems, how to attract players, and it requires some adaptation of the usual pipeline in the IT industry. So we place a comfort on the first place. It means that when we plan a sprint, we are thinking about how much work do we have for one person, but not how much he have to do. In this case, we are always trying to adapt process in the way that everyone will be comfortable about that. But in the same time, person who has this work should think that as much work he take, as less he will be doing the next week. So in general, this is the responsibility of the whole team. So this is idea of the self-responsibility. Another important rule that we have in our pipeline is there is always a better. I mean, we can always do game a little bit better to develop the new levels, to fix this bug or something like that, but time is limited. So if you have some strict deadlines or not strict deadline, you should think about this deadline in the planning process. So there is always a point when you have to finish, and the most often mistakes that young game developers have, they're not finishing their projects. So time is a really good, strict deadline is a really good thing to place you in the position when you have to ship the game. About general positions that we have. So generally we can split these positions on three different fields. It's game design, art, programming, and management. Four, sorry. So game design is one of the things that is uh, the game design is about designing a game. Actually, it could be sound funny, but most of your work will be about writing documentation and specifications for the programmers and artists. Another thing is to develop different mechanics for the game to understand how the game will look like, uh, level design of the game, and in our case, we don't have a special people for marketing and analytics, and our game designers usually work like marketing or analytics. So here you can actually choose in what type of game designers you want to be. We can split it actually on this line, like marketing and analytics is a bit different from document specification and mechanics development. Uh, for the first four positions, in general, I can say that this is the work for the people who like to find the creativity, who like to solve the problems, and who has the skills to write the documentation in general. For the marketing and analytics, you should like work with numbers and with ideas, and you will have to also work with different you also have to think about how to sell the product to the potential player, how to develop, for example, really beautiful video. This is the work a lot of about researching. You have to research a lot and to understand how to make selling of the product better. In product, I mean game in this case. Art is could be split by different categories. We have two-dimensional artist is just who works with Photoshop or uh, Adobe Illustrator. 3D modeling for the people who can make 3D models. Animations. It could be two-dimensional or three-dimensional animations, but it depends on the specific project. Concept artists is the people who can develop the concept, but maybe do not they cannot adapt art to the unit to the some engine or something like that. We also think about the specific position like user interface or UX designer. So it's also an opportunity to work with that. In our case, we have only two artists, and they do not work right now with 3D modeling, but in general, actually, they cover everything that we have in this list. So it's again about how much people do you have and how you can separate the responsibility for them. So for programming, we mostly use Unity engine, but Unreal is also possible because we use Unity because it's better for mobile, but we also can work for the different platforms in this case, and I will tell you about this further. We also work a bit with web engines, like Photon, for example. One team works with Photon, and it's web games is for social networks like ВКонтакте or Одноклассники or Facebook. As a programmer, you can work on backend server to write some logic related to the game, to the server that we have for multiplayer game or something like that. And if you're interested in how to build CI/CD network, this also is a cool thing to build a configurable network for the game development process. Here you have to know, have to learn pipeline of the development and to adapt it to the flexible process of game development. Management. Last thing, we have you can work as Scrum Master or Product Manager. And another idea is event organization. I will tell you about this in the detail later, but event organizers usually some kind of the manager who work with management of the event. Uh, so, firstly, what we have as a project-based internship, what we can suggest you as a project specifically. First of all, of course, is hyper casual commercial projects. So there is a kind of, in case of complexity, it's average requirements. You have to. It's better if you know something. It's better if you successful with something. But and it's cool if you have 3D experience. In this case, for game designers, it doesn't mean at all. But for the programmers and for artists, no, it could be uh, it will be good if you know how to work with 3D. It's possible to generate. It's possibility actually to generate your idea because, but hyper casual is kind of have some limitations. If you don't know what is this limitation, we will provide it to you. But in general, it's really simple game, really with a simple mechanic. So we usually generate the idea for a game with a team. So the programmers and artists also participate in brainstorming process. Usually development cycle not more than 1 month, and it's actually enough even for internship. So during this internship, you will have a fully published game. Maybe it's even give you some potential profit, and of course employment in our case, because we will be glad to see you if you can develop hyper casual games. And if we will be able, we will accept you for the job. Another important thing is that you will have a quick feedback about your game because development cycle is really short, and you can develop it and have something at the end. So another point is VR project for Oculus Quest. For right now, for the third year students, we have a program of VR project that is used special that's a bit innovative. It's about free movement. I don't want to talk a lot about that, but in general, it required for you some knowledge of Unreal, C++. It's also use multiplayer logic, and maybe for the one internship, for 1 month internship, it's too complex project, but during 1 month, it's possible to implement some minimal valuable product in this case. We already have some researches about that, and again, it's potential profit for this project, but in really long, in really far future. And but it's totally in this case, if it's possible, if you see that it's possible to commercialize this project, so it's possibility for you to have an deployment for Unreal. We As I said before, our goal is to cover as much as possible. We want to grow as a company, so we not focus only some kind of, not only focus on casual games. And if we see that we have a specialist in Unreal and we can develop, for example, some PC game for Unreal, so why not? But we should have a people who knows the process, how we work, and they should know Unreal in this case. So it's also a possibility for you to work on this project and later to get the job if we decided to work with Unreal in this case. But it also depends on do we have a people or not again. So another idea is to develop the idler. It's really close to hyper casual, not some specific idea, but again, it's possible to brainstorm. But for hyper casual projects, we have something like an ideas, and we want to test that, but we didn't have a time to develop it. For the idler, we can generate this idea together. We just want to test new genre for us. We see that a lot of publishers trying to work with this field right now, and again, it's possible to develop it during 1 month. The point is just to have a good idea, and the same actually for hyper casual games. Uh, so for PC, we don't know pipeline at all. By pipeline in this case, I mean technical pipeline. So for us, it's kind of the research. It should be some simple single player game. Uh, in this case, we just want to see how to develop the game for PC and what the technical restrictions that could be. We have a connection with experts from industry, and it's related not only to PC games but every project in this case. Uh, but you can have a quick feedback about that. There is no limitation to game engine. Actually, there is no limitation related to the art style or something like that. But the idea is trying to do it successful commercially. In this case, if you will be interested enough to develop this project in future, we will help you to end that, and you will be happy to have your own PC game in your portfolio. But again, for us, it's just the opportunity to receive information about that. Next thing, it's event organization. So we are working a lot on organization of different events. For example, in January, we organized conference IGD which is actually the biggest conference in Tatarstan in general region. Uh, Biggest game developer conference is important to mention. But in this case, due to the COVID situation and due to we don't know when the everything is finished, it's not possible to organize offline events. So we want to try online format in this case, and we have a cooperation with Indicator community. Indicator is a community of game developers, which it's really big, and we are going to open the place which we will call Indicator Annapolis for development game dev community. So for us, it's the starting point to show ourselves as Innopolis indicator representatives. Event organization in this case requires full development of the events. It's promo, work with the participants, invitation of participants, experts, maybe some competition and prizes if it's needed, landing, by that I mean site where the participants can register. We haven't experienced that a lot. The IGDCon covers more than 400 people. And so we really know how to do that, and maybe for you it's an opportunity to also know how to do that in this way. And it means that the end of your internships will happen in the point when the event ends. So approximately date is June or July, for example, in this case. Or it's also flexible; it could be differ, but we will discuss about that. Again, about your idea, I want to repeat: it's possible because some of you maybe have it, and we want to hear that. But remember the rules that we have before. Win-win condition, your decision, your responsibility. Your project is possible, but you should have a plan. It's team-based management. Be kind and open. So when you think to promote your idea, be sure that it covers these rules. We want to make everyone happy, so you should think also about other people. Next steps. So selection process. It's process not to throw you away if you bet. It's a process to avoid not motivated people. Uh, Actually, about that, if you're still not confirmed that you want to participate in internship in Telegram chat, you can join it right now. Go to in right now. Uh, Click to pinned message and vote, please, because we have a 53 people here, and actually 54, yes, but it doesn't matter. We have 54 people, and so we want to understand who still want to work with that, because a lot of people just clicked on the additional internship because they have to choose three of them. So the first step is just at least vote in the chat, vote in the chat. The second thing is to complete a task. It's really a simple task. If you cannot do that, it doesn't mean that you shouldn't do that. You should at least try and to show that you tried to complete the task. And for us, it's a signal that you are really trying to do something and we can teach you something. If you are not motivated enough to complete the task, so it means that something is wrong. So we can't teach you if you don't want that. Choose your position. In general, it's game design, art, programming, or maybe it's your project. So if it's your project, write a document with your idea, some kind of the concept document, and choose the game design position. If you want to work with event or something else, so write me in private messages. If you want to work with CI/CD, research and development, choose the closest field. For example, if you want to be a market man on analytics, choose a game design. If you want to be a 3D modeler or animator, choose an art. So it's kind of the same task. If you think that task is not related to the jobs that you want to get, just write me in private messages. So deadline in this case, yeah, sorry. First of all, interview that we have, it's needed not again to throw away people, but just understand what you want. When you have a lot of people, we want to split you by teams if it's needed to work with teams and to give you the best experience. So in this case, we need to understand what exactly do you want. So when you complete a task, maybe you can also add additional information. I really want to work as a game designer, or I really want to build a PC project or something like that. It's really will help us to give you the best experience and the build the process for internship in the best way. So interview is another part just to understand what do you want. And we have a special table. You just need to select a time slot and we will talk together in Zoom. And again, it's hard to satisfy everyone in the projects because, for example, just imagine if everyone have his own idea of the project, what should we do? In this case, we have 53 projects and one developer on each team. So we will do our best in this case. We already had some experience with game development course, and we use the same approach to split people by teams. In this case, it could be simple because it's only 1 month. It's a kind of almost full time job, and so we will see what will be happen in next few days, and we will use your task as a signal for us how to use your skills in the best way to teach you something. So remember that our goal is to teach you. So deadlines. First of all, tasks until 25th of April. I know that's not a lot of time, only 1 week, but previously we also used just in 1 week. By the way, if you completed this task during game development course that we had in August of previous year, you don't need to complete the task because it's kind of the same. And so the people who are actually completed this task automatically counted as the people who did that. But it's better if you write it to our email that I completed my task previously during the course that we had in August. That would be great. Interview could be done before 25th of April. It could be done, I mean that you cannot complete the task but have an interview. It will also help us to understand. For example, if you come to us and say, I really want to become a gameplay programmer, but I don't know gameplay programming at Unity at all. So here's for us, it signals that you want something, so you will try something, and maybe your task will be not good enough, but we know that you are tried. We know that you didn't have an experience before, so we will look at your completed task a bit different. But in general, remember that the main deadline in 27 April for us. It's at Monday we have to submit to Resource Center our results, who applied or not, and you will also know these results on 27 of April. If by the way, if you have some deadlines that intersect with our task, we can think about it and move that, but we should discuss it. Depends on the case. So write me or Lera Vertash in private message. So when we start, we are flexible about dates. It means that if you want to start right now, okay, fine about that. We are, but it's important that it should be again work based on win-win condition. It means if you have to work with team, your project is team-based, so you should find an agreement with the team. And we also have to understand that it's really, if you want to start, for example, work now, we have to manage somehow your exams, because exams is reduce the amount of the work that you can do actually. And so if we cannot find an agreement inside the team, so the official dates will be applied from 1st June to 30 June, actually. So it's 30 days and 31 in June. So this is the official dates of internships, but again, we're flexible if you can find an agreement inside the team. What is the future after you will make this internship? So you will just join us because to participate in something, it already become kind of game developer. You will become a part of our community. You can join our company as people who can work. You just need to say, oh, do you want that or not? And we will say, can we afford it right now or no? I mentioned previously that we have a status of startup, so we cannot grow rapidly, really fast, because we are limited in our financial resources in this case and management resources. It's not always a question about the money; it's also a question about the projects and opportunities that we can do. So, if you, for example, really want to work with us and we can afford it right now, it's not because you bet. It's sometimes because due to some other reasons. So, just give us an information that you want to work with us with as a company, and we will give you feedback. Is it possible or not? And if it's not, why? And maybe later we can fix that together. So that's it. Thank you a lot. And if you have some questions, you can ask it right now. Maybe we can also organize later some Zoom meeting where we can discuss it together. So waiting for your questions, and if there is no any questions, so I will finish that. The question is how many people will be in one team. So it really depends. I can't say right now because I really don't know how much people, for example, complete the task. If we, for example, now have 43 applications, and after that 3 people complete the task, so just an example, 3 people complete the task. So in this case means that we have only 3 people, and we will not split them in team at all. Maybe we will just include the pipeline process of our company. Yeah, it's possible to apply for 2 or more position, just because our game, myself work as a programmer, game designer, marketing, analytic, manager. So if you have some idea of what do you want to do, you just need to know to say us, and we will see what we can do with that. It's even better. Indie game development is always about to cover multiple roles in this case. But choose when you complete the task, choose the most close what you want to do. For example, if you want to be a game designer and a programmer, just choose what you want to do better and write in the text that you want to be on the both positions. How we will split it into teams? So first of all, it depends on interview. We will look. We will see that in this way. We have some ideas of the projects, and if we see that no one comes with his idea, we will just offer it to you, and we will see who are interested in this. Then we look at the positions, and depends on the position, we split it on the teams, and based on what you want from this project. It really depends on your own interests. So I can't say that right now just because I didn't communicate with you. What do you want in this case? Yes, if you do the task, yeah, you better to go with interview because we just to understand what do you want in this case. For example, if you previously was a programmer, so maybe it's better. But now you decided to be a game designer. I want to hear that, so it's better to have some interview. Interview is also just about what do you want. No, Photoshop is not only the program for the artist. You can also work in Adobe Illustrator. You can use SAI or something like that. But the professional way is just to use Photoshop on the. It depends on art. Firstly, it depends on art. If you have some specific questions related to the art, you actually can ask Lera. She is the person who work with our artists. Uh, there is a GIMP. Yeah, GIMP also possible. Why not? But for some reason, professional game developers use Photoshop. I guess because at some point there is a problem with using some other editors. Uh, you don't have a device to work with. We can try to manage that. I'm not sure how, but we can try. I mean, at least I have a laptop. For example, it's a bit crashed. By crashed, I mean it's hard to open, but it's opened at least. So I can give you my laptop. I think it's enough for Blender, but I'm not sure. So we can think about that. We don't have a devices in this case. Another maybe opportunity is to use resources from university. We can apply to IT department and to ask some laptop for you, even with discrete video card in this case. So as it's possible. Actually, for level designing, you not always need to have really hard laptop or something like that. And for level design depends on the project. So if the project is about some hyper casual game, your design is usually based just on paper. So you make it in Excel tables, you play with some constants, some variables, and so this is the level design on the paper. Yeah, in R&D, I just actually forgot to say about that, and think that I even forgot the slide. Research and development in general, it's again, we can research and develop in a lot of different way. Uh, for example, interest what in the field that we are interested right now is continuous integration, continuous development. But research and development could be done in really different way. For example, we can research and develop new genre, we can research and develop on new technology, we can research and develop on new engine features, new engines, or something like that. So if you have an interest in some specific cases, you can work on that, and we will see what we can do together in this case. Or if you do not know what exactly you want, so we can provide you something that you can try to figure it out. It's also could be, for example, research and marketing. Uh, yeah, it's a good question actually. Teams are made by the people who are work with internship. This is true, but it doesn't mean that do not work with members of IGD. So we have people who already work with us as employees, right? And they have some experience and they understand how to some process built in our company. So we will do, as I mentioned before, we have a daily meeting and other stuff. So you will be always in touch with the people who work with IGD, work in IGD. So you will get an experience from them, game design, pipeline experience, some technical experience. You will always have an opportunity to ask questions or work with them. If you It's also possible, for example, again, we will look at that, depends on how much people will have at the end, but it's also possible, for example, to place a some team lead from the people who work with us. It's also possible. For example, we can place a team lead in your company as a game designer, and he will work with you as a game designer. And because he have more experience, he will lead you. But yeah, but in general, it depends on the number of people who pass the assignment. Just a second. Uh, Can you programming on Linux? Yes, you actually can, but it's really hard. As I know, maybe I can say that if Vladimir Sherba right now on the stream, he can share with you his experience programming on Linux. Unity is okay in general, but if you, for example, work on some different engine like game maker or something like that, sometimes it's possible. I don't know actually because yeah, it's highly recommended to work on Windows just because a lot of engines adapted to this operating system, but it doesn't mean that there is no choice about that. Again, it's manageable, and if you don't have any any other opportunity, you can work on Linux. So maybe in this case, maybe we should cover and understand how to build your team around the specific engines that you could use on Linux or something like that. But really not good option. Anything else? Okay, as I see, the questions is banned. Just wait for maybe 10-15 seconds. Lera sent you tasks in chat and you can complete them. So what skills he should have? In general, just knowledge of programming. Much better if you know C Sharp or Unity. But so task is the task for the programmers show how much actually you should know. I mean, as much better you know, as it's better of course. But the idea is just to understand simple programming logic. So you should know about how to variables works, just simple logic. But the task that you should have for the programmer position is pretty simple actually. It's pretty simple because you can Google how to do that. So, I mean, the whole task is based on the materials that are available on the internet, and the only thing that you need to do is just to show that you can read some information from internet to do that. So this is the idea, how much you should know about that. Uh, Lera will send you the tasks in chat in a few minutes, and after that you can start to work with it on it. You can ask questions in chat on the private messages, but expect some delay in answers sometimes. But in general, so you can ask any questions at any time. If I'm not answering you at some moment, so just wait a bit. I remember your message. I usually mark it as unread or something like that, and I will answer you later. So thank you a lot for the time. Thank you that you applied for our internship, and I hope that you will be fine with your coming exams. And good luck with the test. And again, if you have questions, ask it. Don't not hesitate. And if you have some ideas of the project and $1 million idea or something like that, we will glad to hear that and help you to build that. Thank you a lot. If there is no any questions, we will finish just 10 seconds to wait for the delay, and I'm pressing the button and stream. So thank you again, good luck, and bye bye.